Recipe I could find for this was without the cheese, and it was in a 1950s Betty Crocker cookbook. And it just had the cream cheese and the sour cream. It didn't have the shredded cheddar cheese. The recipe that I'm going to show you here is one that I can at least trace back to the early 1970s. And so what we're going to do is we'll start with some softened cream cheese. And then we're going to add the cheddar cheese, about 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar. A 1/2 cup of sour cream. And the trickiest or hardest part to this recipe is getting all that blended together. The spatula is not going to work very well for that. So trying to get that cream cheese as soft as possible, and then blending it in as well as you can. And this might take you a little bit of time. So we'll cut back to when I've got this fully blended together. Add the chopped up dried beef. This is about 2 ounces. And we'll add that to the mix. A little bit of chopped up onion and green pepper. And add to that some chopped up green onion, about a 1/2 cup. 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Some pepper and some seasoning salt. Again, we'll mix this together until it's thoroughly mixed. Okay, this makes about 3 cups. And I would let this set overnight, so it's one of those that you can do ahead of time. You can serve this in a hollowed out bread bowl, like one of those round bread bowls. Pull out the stuff, chunk that into cubes, put this inside, put it in the oven for about 30 minutes or until it's heated through at 350, and that cheese and everything will melt together. You can also serve it with vegetables or crackers or just the cubed up bread. So it gives everybody a lot of options whether or not they want the bread or they just want the vegetables and the beef and cheese dip. Next we're going to make a spinach dip. The recipe that I've always used comes on the back of the package of the Knorr vegetable recipe mix. The earliest I could trace this back was to the 80s. And so here's what the recipe calls for. 1 package of the dip, about 1.5 cups of sour cream, a little over 1 cup of mayonnaise. You could also use yogurt and adjust these proportions whether you like mayonnaise or sour cream better. Next, 1 can of diced up water chestnuts. About 1/2 cup of diced green onions. And we're going to mix that really well. Add 1 package of the vegetable recipe. And then we'll come back and we'll add the spinach. Finally, we're going to add about 10 ounces of thawed and drained spinach, chopped spinach. And I think it's easier if you just put this in a cloth and squeeze it until you get absolutely no liquids coming out of it. Mix that together. I like to add just a little bit of pepper. This is another recipe that can be served in a bread bowl. It can be made up a day in advance. It doesn't require any heating, but there is a recipe on the back of the Knorr vegetable recipe mix that calls for a hot artichoke and spinach dip that you could also try. I don't like artichoke, so I stick with this one. This makes about 3 cups. You can serve this with vegetables, crackers, or bread cubes in a bread bowl. And we're going to pour this out, and so you can take a look and see what the finished product looks like. So here we have the finished product, the spinach dip. And there you go. We're going to make ham rolls. These are my mother's ham rolls. I don't know where the recipe came from. I just know that I can't remember a Christmas where we didn't have these. And we're going to start with a block of cream cheese, some diced up green pepper and onion, two teaspoons of mustard and a little bit of mayonnaise. And we're going to mix this together until it's well blended and spreadable. If it's not spreadable enough, then go ahead and add a little extra mayonnaise. I'm going to grab a spatula and then we'll put these together. So we're going to take some sliced ham. I use the Black Forest ham, or you can buy a boneless ham and have your butcher slice it. You want it to be thin enough that you can just almost see your fingers through it. So what we'll do, and this gets a little messy, is we'll put down a piece of ham, take some of the mixture, spread it evenly edge to edge, and then we'll roll it up. At this point you can insert 2 toothpicks, and then we'll place it in a pan. These really need to set overnight for that cream cheese to kind of harden up again. Another way you can do it is spread it from edge to edge. Again, roll it up, and you can tuck the ends in and secure that with a toothpick, so it's a 1-bite appetizer. So I'll go ahead and make some of these up, and then we'll take a look at the finished product. Finished ham rolls, I'll wrap these in saran wrap, and then the next day when they're ready to serve, I will cut these long ones in half with a pair of scissors and plate them up for our guest. Now we're going to do croissant and bacon wrapped little smokies. The earliest reference to this recipe I could find was in the 1950s, and it was with the croissants. I don't know when the genius idea of wrapping it in bacon came about, but it probably was not too much longer. It says in the recipe to cut the bacon into 1/3 strips. I find that makes it hard for the bacon to get done, and so I did 1/4. I kind of pat it out a little bit, and it's just the right size to cover the little smoky. Secure with a toothpick, and then continue on. I'm going to do about half of the little smokies in the bacon and about half of the croissants, and I won't do the croissant ones until tomorrow. I'll let these soak overnight, or not really soak overnight. I'll let these set overnight. I'll give them a little bit of a brown sugar glaze, and there's just a little brown sugar and some water, and I'll put them in Ziploc bags, and then when we're ready to eat, I'll turn the oven on 350 and go ahead and cook these.